it was talked a little bit about places early in some of the small towns. It was interesting to me. I was driving up to a nightclub in Manchester last week and saw a sign for Masonville, and it got me thinking a little bit. Look back at some of the guys that we've had in our program. Paul alluded to some of the small town Iowa kids that we've had. I got curious about this. I looked it up the next day. I had somebody look it up for me. Robert Gallery came from a town of 101 people as of last year's statistics. And then Dallas Clark, he came from a much bigger town, Livermore, Iowa, 361. So, it's interesting where people come from. But I can tell you, when you talk about attitude, both of those guys, they really epitomize what we're looking for. The other thing we're always trying to convey to our players, talking about attitude, what we're looking for is, to really get somewhere, it's a process typically. It's a process, and the process for us, we want our players to be thinking about improvement in all areas of their lives. Certainly as football players, but also what they're doing academically and what they're doing in terms of citizenship. And the two things we try to communicate to our players as well as this. First of all, change usually isn't dramatic. Success doesn't just come to you. And the two guys I just mentioned, Gallery and Dallas Clark, are both great examples of that. Dallas Clark being a walk-on, really an unheralded player in a lot of ways when he came to our program, and kind of labored in obscurity for about a year until we recognized maybe some of the talents that he had and got him in a better position. And Robert Gallery the same way. Robert came down as a 235, 240-pound tight end that made a position change his second year on campus right in the middle of the season, and we watched him grow right in front of our eyes. But it was a weekly process and a year-to-year process, and where he started, where he ended up, and the same thing with Dallas. Very, very dramatic, but the day-to-day part of it wasn't so dramatic. And I think that's the first thing players have to understand, and people in organizations need to understand.